everyone, I'm Sarah Maliski, and welcome to Real Talk, where we get hot, spicy, and to the drama. Okay, Richard, you and Jessica are actually the picture perfect couple. Like, I need a photo of you guys on my wall to try to get what you guys got going on. So
that's
thank
like
you
your vision board.
Yeah, exactly. You two and your family on my vision board.
I don't know, like it was kind of funny actually. Whenever people ask me at my job, like when I'm interacting with all these different clients, and they're just saying like, "So show me like, what are your picture of your family?" I have it on my lock screen actually, and I usually show them. And usually everyone makes fun of me. They're like, "Why are you showing me a Pottery Barn ad?" It's like, I'm like, well, that's actually my wife and kids, but yeah.
And they're just like, wait, what? That's
I know, they're
real?
like, wait, what? Yeah,
That's
they
a
don't
real
even believe
thing?
it's real. They're like, all right, stop showing me a Pottery Barn ad. Like, actually show me your actual family. But
Right.
I know, I get it a lot. It's kind of funny. I'm used to it, but yes, they make me look good. Let's just say that.
Oh my gosh, so good. Incredible. But speaking of, picture perfect families and everything like that, you've been in so many amazing real short vertical soap opera series, especially some here that I have, which are The Billionaire's Baby Bargain, number one. That was your first one, right?
That was my first one ever, actually. It's what brought me into the world of real short. And yeah, I couldn't get enough of it. I had such an amazing time that I was like, all right, let's keep going. And yeah.
So with your first, I love asking this question to soap opera actors, especially in the vertical
Soap
space.
opera, yeah.
What was it like walking onto a vertical set? Was that the first time you've ever done anything the other way?
Yeah, like it was so funny because all I ever did, I mean, it's so funny referring to it now because at the time of my first, I never really referred to these things as horizontal and vertical space,
Right.
Like I literally just got done shooting. The previous gig that I did was at the Manhattan Beach Studios where they filmed Avatar and The Mandalorian. So I actually filmed in the volume. So they open up this giant 10-story like LED door and you walk into this place and then they shut it behind you.
Oh.
And it's I know.
You're like,
it's LEDs everywhere. And so that's all the crew had like Mando hats and like Avatar hats. It was so cool. But then I walk onto this set and they literally rigged the red camera to actually go vertical.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, this is cool. This is different. I love interacting with people on the fringes of the industry. And they're like, innovating. And so it's great because I landed there. And of course, I mean, you worked with Nani. Oh my God. It was Nani's first, she's a director for it, by the way. And it was her first time ever working on a set with the vertical space as well. And so we kind of like latched onto each other. And the entire experience was so amazing that we just couldn't look back. We keep going.
And so when you did your first vertical, were you like, oh, this is new, this is cool? Like, what did you think about it?
I didn't know what to expect because I remember when we walked on set and like I said, they had rigged these cameras to go up vertical now. And then spacing is completely different because you're used to, blocking and choreography now is like, you're extremely tight and extremely close. And then they're aggressive on these sets. They do 10 to 12 pages.
Yeah.
When you get spoiled on the normal sets, the horizontal space, you like aggressive is 3 to 4 pages.
Right.
And then now we're doing like 12, 14, 15 pages a day. And I love it, to be honest, because I did a lot of short films that I produced, created, wrote, directed, produced. Like the credits are a joke. It's just like the like over and over.
Yeah.
But like whenever like you're trying to put your artistic vision, going about it like that, I saw how the costs can get crazy. It's like it's trying to be in control of everything from a producer perspective and trying to see like, locations, budgets, like, all that stuff. It can get kind of nuts. And then all of a sudden you see these guys almost scaling that business model of aggressively guerrilla style going through these things and getting through a ton of pages, but then like, doing it well. That's what I saw. It was extremely efficient, extremely professional. And that's why I loved being a part of it because I got to see it from the inside out.
So from doing your first show to your most recent show, have you seen a change in the workflow, even with specifically talking about you? Have you gotten more confident in the space or has it helped you in different areas than before as an actor?
I love the range that they were asking me to do. So I did a couple of these ones. The CEO Billionaire is like the...
Yeah, I would think so.
OG got married in Vegas. The first one, Billionaire Baby Bargain. And it was new to me. And of course I was like, oh, this is cool. I get to be the CEO. And then all of a sudden they asked me this latest one. It's a new angle that they're playing now. It's with kids. It's very, very dark.
Oh.
And there's like it's like an artist, you express yourself, like, opening up your instrument and being able to play the charming lead or whatever. And then there's some very dark like scenes that we do that, pull on the heartstrings and like shed some tears and stuff. And so like being able to utilize that aspect of like, acting I loved it. As far as like, taking into a new leaf, they reached out to me and they're like, we're taking like, a new angle with this one. We think you're perfect for it. We think you've got the range to do it. And I was like, let's go. It was fun. It was amazing.
Was that your most recent?
That's my most recent. It's actually coming out soon.
Oh, what's the name of it?
It's a working title.
Okay,
so, they always change
classic.
it every single time.
They do.
might have to change that. All right?
Yeah. No, they really do always change it though.
Change like 3 times
It'll
before
be
it
like
comes
8
out.
things. You're like, did I act in that one?
I know,
You're like, what is that one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I can't wait to see that. So there's children in that
There's
one.
children, yeah.
Was that the first time you acted with children?
Yeah. And these little Russian girls, it's like April and Anna. So it was hilarious because they showed up on set and these girls are professionals. Like this isn't their first gig. Like they do hundreds of these shows.
Okay.
And so they walk on set and I was just like, geez, like they should be #1 in the culture.
Right. Yeah.
And she's 4 years old. But they're rock stars. They got on there and did the scenes. There's like heavy crying. There's like full drama. And these girls got in there and killed it. And I'm off set. I'm like right off screen going, they're amazing. And so you're going to see it whenever these shows come out. Like these girls are killing it. And I loved it. I love being a part of that whole thing.
Well, I remember I was casting a show and I wanted you as the lead. And then the character had a wife and 2 kids.
Yep.
And I was like, looking at you. I didn't know you yet. And I was stalking you and I was like, oh my God, is that his family? Again, going back to the Pottery Barn ad. I was like, that's his family. Called the producer. I was like, can we get them in here? And they were like, yeah, if you can make it work. And I call you. I'm like, Richard, hi, I'm Sarah. So nice to meet you. Can I get you and your family? Almost got that to work.
I know. We tried. We really tried.
We tried so hard.
I know. We tried so hard.
Are you in the future thinking of maybe getting the whole fam involved in a shoot, or what does that look like for you?
No, like, even referencing the episode prior, like getting them accustomed to being in front of the camera and liking it. And I never want to push it on them. I know like there's the stereotypes of like the theater mom.
Yeah.
Who's just like, get out there, be amazing, be amazing. Yeah. Like trying to relive maybe you didn't get to live that in your life, so you're trying to live it through your kids. Yeah. I'm very hands off with that stuff. I'm just like, if they want to be a part of it, go for it. I'm here to help, but I'm not going to try and push that. But they love watching these TikTok videos that I make. They're like these little BTS videos that I always take on set, and they're so much fun. Like everybody in the comment boards, they keep saying, they're like, oh my God, like it just looks like being on set with you is just a blast. And it's like, it really is. Like we're dancing, we're being stupid, we're taking videos the whole time. And I always mash them together and I release them around the time for part of the marketing when these like shows like drop. And my kids watch them on repeat. They're just like, they literally like, Dad, you're an actor? And I'm like, yeah, this is what we do. And they think being an actor is just screwing around these BTS videos, like having fun. And they're like, I want to do that. And I was like, yeah, there's a little bit more to that, but it is fun. It's great. And so if they think it's fun, and like I always tell them, it's like, chase the fun. If it's something that, it does bring you happiness, then go for it.
Well, talking about that with you being on set, making TikToks, being smart with marketing, dropping it right when the show drops, smart. So it seems like you do a lot of stuff. You got a lot going on. Yeah. So just tell me a little bit about that. What's it like being an actor, being a father, also having 18 different jobs and hobbies and things that you do that make money and are really just up and coming and cool stuff? How do you handle being that person?
What's interesting actually is that in B school, whenever I was getting my MBA, there was one of the homework assignments was, there's a famous thought leader, his name's Simon Sinek. He always asks the question, like, you need to find your why. And when you find your why for anything in life, like whether, for me, at least personally, when I really I took the assignment seriously, I was like, what is my why? And my why was really to try and create this little piece of heaven on earth for my family. And when you try to do something like that, when you try to bring something from the celestial realm or like deity down to earth, oh my God, it takes a lot of effort. And so it takes you literally to create and curate and make this little piece of heaven on earth for your family. You cherish it, you love it, but then you have to leave it. You have to leave it in order to what? Work. You have to go toil. You have to go, like if you want to take the farmer analogy and stuff, is like you got to toil the ground, you got to plant the seeds, you got to water it. It takes a lot of time and attention. And there's a lot of things you have to wait for the harvest, and then you can and then you finally come back to your little piece of heaven that you want to try and curate, and then you give it back to them. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of intention, and a lot of effort. And so that was for me finding that endless well of energy and that endless well of the constant rigor to keep doing that
Mm-hmm.
comes from my why, which is that little my family that I'm trying to keep and that little piece of heaven that I'm trying to curate and basically water that garden, you know.
Oh, oh my God. Question for you on that. You seem on the outside, just from seeing you, to have it figured out, that you have this thought process and this like plan you've made, and it's so thought out, it's so calculated and made to perfection. What do you do on those days if you're like actually exhausted, or you're like having a bad day, you're in a bad mood, you're annoyed, you don't feel like doing this, or you're just overwhelmed, or someone at work's pissing you off, or you're having trouble with your like, how do you do all of these different things that you do and still keep it this guy right here?
Thank you first off for that compliment.
No, but
I keep
truly.
it, you know, well composed. Thank you. Because inside it's a mess. I think I'm actually undiagnosed ADD. So like I'm actually really good at juggling stuff because I'm constantly like, you know, that's where mine goes. And I actually would argue that it's kind of like a superpower.
Mhm.
I always give the advice to like friends of mine who feel like they kind of pinpoint. They're like, "Rich, I think you are ADHD." I was like, and I like that. It's like a mutant power.
Yeah.
You know, like in the X-Men series, whenever
Yeah.
I'm kind of a nerd. Okay, so there's
Yeah,
very
we know.
there's very specific analogies that I always pull from. But like Professor Xavier in the X-Men series, wherever he was taking that serum to basically dumb down his mutant powers because he wanted to be normal and stuff. I was like, and then of course the argument that Magneto made was like, why don't you actually embrace that? And like, you know, what makes you different is actually a superpower.
Right.
And I always like take that mindset whenever with my own like, you know, ADHD kind of mindset where I feel like I am kind of scatterbrained a little bit and I do like juggle a lot of stuff. But how is that a bad thing? I would actually argue that, you know, maintaining all those different things and having those different things that I focus on be business pursuits, and like whether it's your family, relationships, or business and stuff, like it's almost a superpower that you kind of want to amplify. So I like it. I actually turn it negative, what most people would perceive as a negative, to a positive.
Do you, if you're having a day that it seems like you've got it down with being able to put energy in so many different areas and pockets, but if you're ever, do you have any tips and tricks for some viewers and myself? If you're just like, you're having like a bad day, but you have to provide for your family and you provide for your career and yourself, how do you kind of just like get that little spark back up?
It's fine. It really is defining your why. It's that, why are you doing this in the first place? And if you
So
can always,
do you go back to that when you have those moments?
When you have those moments, because it's going to happen.
Right.
Like, as much as you wish that you can plan stuff out, forecasting or whatever you want in the business mindset, if you want to use that, you know, vernacular, nothing goes as planned. It never does. I mean, even the pursuit today, like we were trying to get here on time, the call sheet and stuff like that. Like we're stuck in traffic. We're texting each other. We're not driving and texting.
I'm talking to Siri.
You were talking to Siri. Exactly.
I was like, yo, Richard, I'm late as shit.
But there's stuff, Murphy's Law always kicks in, and stuff that, you know, the worst possible things that can happen will always happen. And I actually look at that as not like a bad thing. It's just like, you know, how do you evolve and adapt? And if you want to lean on the artistic mindset of like improv, it's never, you never say no in improv. Absolutely not. That's how you kill it. You always do the yes and. And so I always look at something when, like, you know, there's curveballs thrown at you in life. It's like, okay, you don't say no or freak out or like, you know, lose your cool. You always go like, okay, yes, this is happening. And now what? Well, what's your next play or what's your next move? So I always look at those things not as like, you know, an insurmountable obstacle, but now you just got to maneuver and pivot.
Problem solve it.
Yeah, problem solve it. Yeah. And if you want to really get into like the real arc of like, you know, playing leads, not only in shows and in movies, but then playing the lead character of your own life. Like jump back and like pull yourself out of it and look at it from like a 30,000 foot, like, you know, perspective. It's like, how amazing would a movie be if the character would just complain the whole time, just sit in bed and like, you know, cry and then roll over? Like how much of that movie would you sit there and watch before you're just like, oh, okay, I got to turn into something else? The reason why the most motivating movies that I see and like where the characters are men of action, women of action, and they always make decisions at these key critical points in like, you know, the storyline where all of a sudden everything's on the line. They feel like there's multiple guns, you know, their backs are against the wall, and then they triumph because they're people of action. And I always take that mindset for leading the story of your life. Like that's how you take it. So it's almost like if they were going to tell your story or make a movie about you, those moments where the cliffhangers happen, what did you do?
Right. Not sit there and just complain and be like annoyed of the situation. That's a good point. I'm gonna use that. What's
You're
your
the
sign?
lead of your own movie. I'm a Virgo.
I knew it. I should have said it. I should have been like, are you a Virgo? Do you have a Leo in there too?
I don't know. I don't know that stuff.
You know, okay.
I know. But a lot of people, when they break it down, it's kind of scary, actually. It's not that I don't believe in it. Like, when the people actually know what they're talking
But the
about.
Virgos don't believe in it. That's like, that's
that
so
a thing?
Virgo
That's
to
so
say.
Virgo to, yeah, that was so Virgo of me to say. But yeah, when people break it down, because some people on set, they're like, they live and die by it. And they're explaining it to me. I'm just like,
Sarah.
Sarah
Noel.
Creepily, it was on the money.
Yeah.
On the money. And I was just like, okay, that's crazy.
Virgo. I love that. What's your wife?
She's Cancer.
Virgo and a Cancer is a stunning match.
Everybody says that. And then whenever I, kind of like Googled it and like tried to find out, they're like, one of my biggest matches is Cancer. And I was like, I kind of naturally fell into that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your origin story almost. Where are you from? How did you get here? What is that look like?
So, oh man, we can go all the way back to the beginning. Like when I really started falling in love with this whole like artistic endeavor, it was my mom. My mom is actually an immigrant. She came from Peru. So that's a country in South America. And when she got here, we're talking about the most cliche, stereotypical like American dream story. She came here with nothing, and she worked her butt off. She would do anything, babysit, like walk dogs, like anything to make money. And then she met my father, and the love story began. And then they got married and had kids. And so I still remember my earliest and fondest memories of my mother is they were too poor to afford English classes, like proper English classes to go to a school and learn it. So she would sit in front of the TV and watch movies, like old Hollywood classics. And I still, like I said, my like hazy memories are sitting in my mom's lap watching all of these Hollywood classic films with her.
Aww.
So she would learn English.
Yeah.
And I'm learning English too. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
But also I'm sitting there watching Steve McQueen, The Great Escape. I actually ride a motorcycle now because of that movie, The Great Escape, where Steve McQueen famously is trying to jump the barbed wire fence to get out of the concentration camp. I drive a BMW R9T Scrambler because it looks just like that in the movie. And I was like, those are those things in life where my fondest memories are linked to that, and like storytelling and like sharing those moments with my mom where, we would laugh at, funny moments in those like, movies, or cry in like the very dramatic ones and stuff. And I could see how impactful watching films are, or watching TV shows. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I would love to be able to be in a position to do this, to be impactful and to like change people's like, if you really look at it, you're just sitting in front of a TV screen, but yet you can laugh and cry, and like you can feel all these amazing emotions, and like they're extremely real. And it's like, that's powerful, it's cool. And I was like, if there's any way possible I could be a part of this, I want to do that. That was kind of the genesis of it.
Okay.
But you're a young boy in a very remote town of Oklahoma.
Okay.
So I'm a Midwest boy. Bartlesville, Oklahoma is where I was raised mostly. I fell in love with that. And if we really want to get deep, when you have a small town, it's a very nurture versus nature. Like you're in a small town, and when I would go to the movie theaters and see these movies, and like I was just so moved by them. But you feel like being born and raised in a small town, someone else gets to live that dream, and actually, it's real for them, but it's not for a small town kid. And that disconnect and stuff, I always like, it was bitter for me. It was kind of, I don't know if we want to get real.
Yeah.
Let's get real. So one of my favorite movies is Aladdin. And there's a key scene in that movie where he's protecting these kids in the streets because he's a street rat.
Yeah.
And the kids go out in front of the suitors that are being sent over to marry Princess Jasmine, and it's like this prince, this like arrogant prince. And the kids jump out in front of the horse because they want to play. And then the prince steers up. Aladdin jumps up to protect them, and he almost like whips the kids. And he's like, if I was as rich as you, I'd learn some manners, that scene.
Yeah.
And the prince kicks Aladdin into the mud. And he was like, you were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you. And he goes inside the palace, and Aladdin gets up to go fight him, of course, and they shut the palace doors on him. And I feel like that, I don't know why that scene hit me so much as a kid, because I felt like the palace doors of opportunity, of success, of, whatever that means to you, of like whatever your dream is, there is a certain echelon or caste of people that get to pursue those things, or are allowed to do that, because of opportunity. And the rest of us almost feel like the palace doors get shut on.
Yeah.
And so I always looked at that as kind of like this genesis for me of, I got to find a lamp. I got to find a
Yeah.
genie.
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
gotta rub, 2 cents together and try to make a dollar, or like, find a lamp that can grant you these wishes and change your life for the better. Marry a princess and then live in the palace, and then your whole life changes. And for me, chasing that I always felt like my magic lamp was education. My parents instilled that to me as such a young kid. And that's what immediately, whenever I graduated high school from Oklahoma, I went to NYU. I went straight to the city. I went straight to the palace.
Yeah, you did.
The palace doors weren't shut on me for that. For instance, that was my way in, was education. So I went and did my undergrad at NYU. I was in New York City, Manhattan of all places, and it was amazing. And then later on in life, I went and got my MBA from USC. And so everything changes when I got to rub my magic lamp and the genie came out, and opportunities started happening for a young boy who, if I didn't chase those things or didn't, pursue education, I would almost feel like I don't think that genie would have ever come out. But the genie has, and you get to actually grant those wishes.
Have you ever had a project that seems a little intimidating or out of your league or anything?
Yeah, I think whenever we had some viral comedic web series that me and somebody started, and it was doing very well. And so we were starting to get attention from big brand names. We worked with Disney, like Mattel, Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm was the one. It was whenever the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm happened. It was around episode 7, whenever J.J. Abrams was doing the big the last episodes or whatever, the new ones. And they were doing a huge global marketing push. And so they reached out to us and they said, hey, we love what you guys do. Can you come to LA, shoot at Disney Studios, and we'll give you the Mos Eisley Cantina bar set with stormtroopers and everything. And
like the real one.
That's the real one. Like, that's what's so crazy. And when they reached out to us, we're like, us?
Yeah, you're like, hello.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, it was one of those moments where it's just like, oh God, okay. You just say yes, right? Even though it's intimidating, it's Star Wars. I watched it ever since I was a kid. I loved this. And then it was like, all right, so now we have to deliver. And so we prep like crazy, obviously, and you make sure that, you don't stumble when you walk in.
Yeah, right.
We're like, of course, this is normal for us. But we walked in, and I'm a giddy kid. I'm seeing the Cantina bar scene it's the first time that Han Solo and Chewie meet Luke Skywalker, the famous Luke Skywalker in Obi-Wan. And I'm seeing it in real life. And so they gave us extras too. So they had like the whole, like the aliens are in there. You got like the aliens playing like the music and the band. And then we shot our thing, we did it, and we got out of there. Just like anything in life, like if people get jittery or have butterflies before like a big game on like weekends and stuff. Like, I used to play basketball, and so like when you would show up and it's like all the crowd's going crazy, and all of a sudden you start getting some butterfly. But then once you start doing your warm-ups and you're in the game, they all disappear. And then all of a sudden you just do your thing. Same thing happens on set with me. It's like, once you're actually in a scene and doing your thing, like, it doesn't matter if there's like 50 crew members, if there's like even producers sitting there and stuff like that, they all just kind of disappear, right? So the same thing happened on this set with the Cantina Bar thing. We ended up getting into like the role of like us doing our thing. Everyone disappeared. And in fact, everyone's cracking up and laughing, and they're like, dude, these guys, who are these guys? They're freaking funny.
Yeah.
I know, like, and all of a sudden everybody kind of like rallied behind us because we were like the no names, and then all of a sudden they did so well when they put it online that they put us on the front page of StarWars.com. So anytime they do like the May the 4th be with you, kind of push or like campaigns, they always kind of like, tag it and like, hey, remember these guys? And I was like, it's really cool. So I got like a piece of Star Wars that, this entire thing that was so, monumental in my like, young childhood life. So I got to have a part of it. It was fun.
When you were on the set, did you recognize all of the characters?
Yeah.
Were you like, wait, I remember this?
I was like,
guy.
I know this one. Yeah. And it was the little kid. So I actually make the joke and stuff. It's like when you really tap into something that's beautiful and joyous, it's like your inner kid pops up. And like and like all of a sudden those, like, my wife calls them pure joy moments.
Yeah.
She loves creating pure joy moments, not only for each other, but like especially for the kids.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like if you're able to have a career and do jobs here and there that awaken that little child in you, that is the biggest blessing in the world ever.
Yeah. It's tough. It really is. Like, I mean, to go back to like the impactful scene, like I talked about earlier with the Aladdin one, a lot of people get the palace gates shut on them, and they feel like it's impossible to get around it or to find their way over the gates, and to sneak into the palace. And like, I felt like I found my way of getting in, which isn't the same for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, high percentage chance is education. That's how you can kind of open up those doors to opportunities for like stuff like this. It's amazing. And then like all of a sudden your inner child is happy.
Right.
It's happy to go to work.
Right. I feel like something that you said too was saying yes and being brave with opportunity, even, and seeking something out that you might think you're not right for, even. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Always take a chance, always take a risk, always ask, I feel. And I feel like you're really good at doing that.
That's exactly what happened actually for the MBA program itself. I mean, I shared with you a story even on set. Like, I didn't plan to be an MBA student, even at the beginning of that year. And it was the all is lost moment that they talk about in like the 3-act story arc of telling a story. All is lost. We were actually about to sell a TV show, and I was working close with everybody. We got the format together with a very, very successful and famous production company. We did a co-pro with them. We brought in a celebrity. The celebrity had a first look deal at CBS. We go into pitch at CBS Studios. Everybody's high-fiving because all they're doing is just cracking jokes with the executive because he already has shows there. And so we're just like selling the shows.
Locked in.
Came over. It's like lights, camera, like it's over. We did it. And then March 2020 happened, COVID. We were like literally flying cloud 9 to 0. We're talking like the roller coaster of like entrepreneurship and like chasing a dream and stuff. Like you can have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And that lowest of low hit hard. And then my daughter was born in the middle of it, April 2020. And it was so bad. And like, it was such a unique time in like the world, They were even threatening to kick me out of the delivery room. So my wife would have had to like deliver co-set alone. And so enough lawsuits had happened on the East Coast with like fathers suing hospitals. And so now it happened here on the West Coast that they were like, all right, fine, only you can be there. I'm like, thanks for letting me.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be there.
Let me be
with
there
my wife and baby.
With my wife and baby. And so my wife, April 2020, we were holding a crying baby, and she looks at me and she's like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And like there's those moments in life, like I said, like the all is lost moments where you really, really find out who you are, where your back's up against the wall. Go is the proverbial, you got like multiple barrels, you're looking down them, pointed at your head, and like, what do you do?
I just think that's really important for us to just talk about too, just because it seems so easy, right? Our lives and the things we've been able to achieve. But
in social media, you only post the best parts.
Yeah, I'm not posting myself crying in the bed at night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You don't post whenever
I'm not.
Your whole world crumbles and you have a crying baby and your wife looks at you saying, what are you gonna do? You don't post that moment. You post when I got accepted to USC and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a Trojan. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You don't post the dark moments of your soul.
It's just really inspiring though to hear that you had this happen and then you did the USC move.
You know what's crazy? It was kind of like these. So after I go to USC and I tapped into this like Trojan. It's not the Trojan Network.
Look at his socks, guys.
I'm always rocking the colors.
Do you kind of feel bad for NYU a little? Are you like that's like the stepchild?
I was like, I really felt what it meant to have like a network.
Yeah.
Like when you tap into the Trojan Network, it is nothing like I've ever experienced in my life. And the joke is that it's not the Trojan Network, it's the Trojan Mafia. I actually got linked up with the School of Cinematic Arts. So I actually did one of the minor majors that I did underneath the MBA was a business of entertainment. And so they would actually take a lot of these Marshall kids, they would march the business school, and they would plop us over at the cinematic arts, the School of Cinematic Arts, and we would actually interact with those professors and like talk about the business of the entertainment world. And I actually got linked up with some pretty famous like directors, famous like entertainment lawyers and stuff like that. And I remember I've had multiple lunches where they only say yes because you're a fellow Trojan.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to one who was really, really successful. And I remember we immediately hit it off. Like we were talking about, and I took a moment, even at the lunch, it was one of those moments where you just blurt something out and you're like, oh shit, that was really profound. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. But I remember telling him, I was like, I feel like there's nothing that connects people faster than shared suffering.
Oh, beyond.
And the fact that he could feel it, he felt that I'd been in the trenches. He felt that I'd suffered. And he felt that like I fought my way out. Yeah. The same way he did. All of a sudden you're like connected because you had this shared suffering where you both know how hard it can be. And then, yeah, we're instantly connected. We're like instantly BFFs.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden, it's almost like us. It's like,
right.
we're
No,
like even
literally.
prior to this,
Yeah.
it's like we're both East Coast, like, you know, the New York life and stuff like that, where
It's
you feel
tough.
like, you connect with someone immediately because you had that shared, if you want to call it suffering, it's like if you were in the trenches together.
Oh, yeah,
you know
definitely.
exactly what it feels like.
I feel like also kind of hitting on what you were talking about with Aladdin, and you were like, I need that genie lamp which is education for you.
Yeah.
And so you went to USC, and the thing is, I still feel this way about college being important. You do, even if you're not necessarily taking the classes seriously, which you should, but you make a network of people.
Yes.
And that's who gets you the job. Like that's who kind of helps you secure different things. So
what's so funny is that on set, whenever we shoot these things, you would think that we would, like, we do goof a lot around. We like dance and sing and do stupid stuff. But then all of a sudden, when this part of me comes out and like, you know, they find out, I actually have like 2-hour, 3-hour conversations about people about running strategy for what they want to do, their current situation, where they want to be in 5, 10, 20 years. And then we kind of reverse engineer and map it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. I love it. I actually
like a
enjoy
life
it.
coach.
Yeah.
Kind of, without actually doing it. You just naturally are like a wizard, I'd say. Yeah. Or like maybe a Star Wars character. Because I think we might have some Star Wars trivia coming up.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, so back to your knowledge on Star Wars. I think we're going to do some quickfire trivia.
I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try and do everybody proud.
Let's see how well you know Star Wars. Which episode number is the first Star Wars film?
4.
Yes! Yes, brother, yes!
I thought these were going to be super hard.
Okay, well, okay, this one's really hard.
Okay.
What color is Yoda's lightsaber?
Yoda's?
Yeah.
Yellow. No, really? Do you even know?
Yeah, I did know this one. I did.
Green.
Yeah.
Of course it's green. Of course. I was like, it's either that or green.
Yeah. It's not red.
All right, boo.
Okay.
Next.
Who trained Anakin Skywalker to become a Jedi?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You're our only hope.
Yes. What is the name of the Wookiee homeworld?
Oh, it's Chewbacca's homeworld?
It says Wookiee.
Oh, no.
Wait,
like
it's Kashyyyk.
What was that?
Is that right?
I think you pronounced it correctly with the right accent, right?
Is that Kashyyyk?
Kashyyyk.
What's the Wookiee?
It's the big dog.
Oh, that.
Like Chewbacca, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Han Solo's homie. Yeah.
Speaking of Han, okay, Han Solo's ship name was.
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. Okay, I knew that. Come on. Oh, that's it.
That's it?
That's all we got.
I did pretty good.
You did great.
I thought you were coming at me with some hard stuff. Oh.
So you've done so many different real short series. Which out of all of them, if you had to pick, is your favorite?
I know, it's asking like which one's your favorite kid. It was like,
I know, it's hard. It's hard.
I think I always go back to what started this entire journey. And it's definitely The Billionaire's Baby Bargain. I don't know, we touched on it earlier, how my favorite director is Nani. And I know you've worked with her too.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. Like she comes on set, she has the vision, she executes perfectly. But in spite of all that, she's still willing to let you play. Like, and she's willing to like have a scene kind of come out and go a different direction than what she initially thought. And she will let you do your thing. And if it's better, it's always the best idea wins, which is what I love the most about working with her. Because when we first got on set together, it was my first vertical ever. And same thing with her. Like she was like still trying to figure out the logistics of it all. But we really latched onto each other and helped create something really profound, I think. And a lot of people responded to it. It's like the most viral of all the series. It's the one that started it all. And it was very, very successful. And then it kind of got where it's like, let it keep going. It's like, if you got this giant snowball already built up, let's just keep it going. And now I can't look back. Like it's been such a great experience so far on Real Short.
Was there, I know this is such a classic cliche question, but was there any super funny or memorable moments from that set that you can share with us?
I think one that really hits home as far as the family, there's a famous story of Al Pacino when he goes, because I studied in New York City on the East Coast, was like very conservative minded, like blah, blah, blah. When Pacino goes and does Shakespeare in the Park, he actually calls up conservatories and he's like, give me your kids that won't be weird about it. Because he likes to actually hear the words spoken to him. So he'll actually recruit some of the conservatory kids to go on like an emptied out stage. And he'll be on there and they have all the kids surround him with all the different characters with open folios. And they'll actually say the words. And that's how he learns his lines. I don't know if that's BS or not,
Of
but I
the
heard
other
that of the
characters?
other characters. So Pacino portrays his character, but he wants to hear it and be in the space of the other actors, like, saying their
Okay.
lines. So he'll recruit some conservatory kids to go do that. And I always like remember that story, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I haven't met him. So like,
Right.
I just heard of that story. I was like, that's cool. I also like hearing it too. And it helps me like learn lines.
Oh,
When the lead actresses, I'll actually have them record lines for me, and I'll have them in my ears when I work out,
yeah.
when I walk the dog. Like every single moment of like a reprieve, I always have them in my ears. So then like the lines get in like your blood literally, and that's what allows me actually to actually improv and be open in the space. It's like your freedom. And Daniela was so nice to do that for me. And she was on FaceTime and we were talking. And the kids, of course, anytime I'm doing it, even with work or like, other the clients or the other actresses, hey, they like jump on. And she was so amazing with the kids. Like she's just like, oh, hi, what's your name? Like Maverick's like, hey. And like, and every single time I do these series, the other leads, the other characters, the other actors, when they interact with like members of my family, it's the most amazing people ever. I mean, like even with you today, it was like you're doing like your twirls and stuff with my daughter. You got.
But I do have to say and interject here. You do kind of have the cutest, most amazing family I think anyone's met.
All thanks,
so
yeah, all thanks to my wife.
yeah,
She did a good job.
yes, you did.
And so, yeah, those interactions that they have with my family have only been nothing but positive. And so I think like those are the big things. And if you want like, just the hilarity and the fun that we have on set behind the scenes, like I was referencing earlier, I actually do make little TikTok videos of just dumb BTS videos.
Yeah.
Us being dumb, dancing, laughing, having a good time. And when we cut them together, people feel that. It's like palpable. And people in the comments are always saying, it's like, God, being on set with you sounds like it's so much fun. And like, it is, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talk so much about these fun, positive moments on this specific set. How has Real Short in general impacted your life?
Even more so with the fact that there's this amazing community of fandom that Real Shorts has cultivated. I think a lot of people like to try and like, they want to go out and say like, let's make a community. Real Shorts has that. And they're extremely caring. Like even lately, like, LA is still going through it. Like very close friends of mine lost all their life, their livelihood. They lost their homes in the fires, Altadena, Pacific Palisades. And in the middle of it all, a lot of the fandom were in my DMs and messaging my wife even saying, is Maverick and Cozy okay? And I had to kind of take a step back because I was like, these are fans from Europe. These are fans from South America, fans from Asia, calling my family out by name saying, are you okay and safe? And they genuinely care. And I thought that was something where I got to see firsthand this unique community that Real Short has and how amazing it is. I love it. It was really eye-opening for me and comforting. And I got to go talk to them and stuff and like, message everybody back. So like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking in. It meant a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's something that it's just almost like an extra point there with having this beautiful fan base that actually cares about you as a human being as well, which is just it's unique. It's a unique thing. And would you say that you're the type that definitely tries to answer all the fans? Do you try to respond to them? I know there's so many.
I know, but I actually really genuinely do. There was another series that I did. I referenced it earlier. That's why we were on the front page of StarWars.com, where I got some notoriety. Like I would go to Disneyland or Disney World with my kids, and we get stopped. And my wife is already used to that world. Like she was a princess, and so people, people would wait 3 hours to meet her. And they'd have these little 30-second, 60-second at most, like interactions with a princess. And you have to remember, you have to pull yourself back. These kids have these emotional ties to these princesses ever since they were kids.
Right.
So it's actually a big moment for them to meet one. And every single interaction is unique. And if you leave them on a positive note, they'll remember it forever.
Yeah.
And I actually take that, my wife gets it too. Because whenever I get stopped, I kind of create that little 30-second, 60-second magic for them. And she's the first one to say, you want me to take your camera? I can take a picture for you guys. And it's like, it's like a cute moment. So I actually adore it when people reach out and say hi and stuff. Like, I love it.
So everyone who's watching, make sure you definitely reach out to him. Especially now, he will respond to you with a 30-minute clip. I'm just kidding. But you should totally reach out to Richard. He's the nicest guy. With everything we've talked about, there's so much excitement here in the future as well of what we're doing. What would you love to see what kind of show would you like to do here? If you be the writer,
Yeah,
do
writer,
the whole
director,
thing.
producer,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, which will probably happen. Let's be real here.
I would love to, actually. I've already talked with a couple of people where like it could possibly be an opportunity, and I would love it. I mean, we've already referenced to the fact that I wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
So it's like, getting in there and actually having control and like I said, like control the reins of where things are moving. I would love that. I think what would be an amazing opportunity would be sci-fi. I think great, like a Star Wars themed one where we could go into space, or an action thriller where you could be like a James Bond kind of like, lead man, like going through Man of Action, what I was telling you about, or even horror. Like let's scare people,
Oh my gosh. So talking about, you wear 8,000 different hats and you are such a family man. How do you balance that?
I think we did kind of touch on it earlier, but I do like the idea of like finding your why and then finding that endless well. Because a lot of people on that assignment that I talked about earlier, whenever the quick way is to like find your 5 whys to get to the soul of any, like, the actual source of any problem. When
the 5?
Yeah, 5 whys is like a little quick trick. They do it in the IT world, like engineers. Whenever they need to find or source a problem in IT, they just like ask you the 5 whys really quick. So why is it happening? All right, well, why is it happening? And then you can get really down to like the origin or like the actual problem, and you can solve it at its source and not just do a bunch of these band-aids and have it be a problem again. And I kind of did that with mine. I was just like, all right, so why do you want to be a dad? To provide money, I got to get money for my kids. All right, well, why? I was like, well, I'm a provider, you can kind of get rid of the superficial ones. And you can start really getting like, well, by the time you hit the 5th why, you're like, well, geez, I got to really figure this out. It's like, what is the big overarching theme of your life of why? And that was when I really did find the source of it all. Of like essentially what I'm trying to do is create a little piece of heaven for my family.
Right.
And like, so what does essentially that take? It's like, oh God, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of, rigor, a lot of grit, a lot of all that stuff. And then when you see them flourish and you see them like, succeed, oh God, when you're done at the end of the day, I mean, I told you about it. Like I was working full time all day, then I'd get on the motorcycle and then go try to be in class in time, try to beat rush hour and be in downtown LA at USC, be in class at 6:30. And then you're rapping at 10, and then you got to get home at like 11 p.m. and that's your day. You're done at 11 and you started as early as 6 and you saw your kids for the first time. Usually they're in bed already. Or if they did stay up, when you open the door and you're just tired, and then the little kids are like, Daddy! And they just come and give you a big hug. How is that amount of battery that just, it's like an automatic recharge, you know? That's why you're doing it. That's why you're out there battling whatever proverbial dragon of life, and then you come back and you got your princess at home with your little kids.
I have another question for you. In this day and age, I feel like a lot of people my age, a lot of women specifically, a lot of girlfriends of mine, we grew up with the idea of being like, oh, I want to be a mom, I want a family, like that's so exciting. And now it's almost slowly becoming less accessible. What do you, just as a young dad and who's really making a name for himself in this industry, like how would you recommend, what words of advice would you give to us, women, men, like?
I think it's extremely putting yourself with finding the communities where you have the like-minded people. I think how I can tackle this question is what advice I would give my own daughter if she was having struggles and like trying to find some place and like needed to get out of whatever circle she was in where she felt like it wasn't the right place to be and she wanted to be in another realm, but you don't quite have access to it yet.
Right.
And I feel like that's essentially what I did. It's finding your magic lamp. Like what's your magic lamp? And there's a lot of people that I can reference and see because I actually did put myself in an MBA program where you have ambitious people who are disciplined, who are smart, and extremely capable and ambitious. I feel like that passion in life, God, that passion, you think I grew up with like that Latin fuego. Like my mom, I get it from my mom. Like she did the the impossible. She came from a little pueblito town in the middle of the Andes where they would literally take showers in a waterfall. Like that's how remote it was. And her dream was to come to America and have a better life for her and her family. When you say that in the Andes, where it's so remote that people don't like, they speak Quechua, they don't even speak Spanish. They speak like this little like native tongue, like in the middle of nowhere. They laugh at you. Like, it's impossible. Stop dreaming. Get your head out of the clouds. It's almost like the start of a Disney movie, So it's like, it's too big, it's too ambitious. Bring it down to reality. And she was like, no, I'm going to chase this. And that kind of taking on that insurmountable challenge, like, something that has been dubbed impossible by everyone around you, you're in the wrong circle. The people that say, no, it's impossible. Okay, so that's their reality. You need to find the people where it's not. That's what she did. She put herself in a different scenario, in a different circumstance where people actually say, you know what? Chase it. It is possible. And that's where I would put my own daughter. I would tell her, it's like, be in those circles where people don't, the first thing, their gut knee-jerk reaction isn't a no, it's a yes. And I saw in my own eyes, like when they pierce in like it's called the Socratic method, like whenever you do higher education, where they fill you in the stadium seating, it's almost like a theater. Like when you go visit Greece, you'll literally see it's a replication of it. And you'll look around in the audience and there's fellow people who are just as ambitious as you, who are passionate and are chasing something big. What do you do with like-minded people? They procreate, It's like there's friends of mine that got that hooked up and got their significant others in class because they were both chasing something big. A couple of marriages, I think, happened out of it. So I would tell my own daughter, I was like, go to an MBA program, go into higher ed. Like something was like, go find the places that will do the weeding out for you. So it's like a university takes applications and weeds out through all these different people, the best of the best. They did the work for you. Literally. I know it's kind of messed up.
No, it's honestly a pretty good method.
They did the work for you. And then if you get into that program, you have the best of the best and the cream of the crop in the room with you of like-minded people. I think going back to like that little girl who my mom, it's like talking to my mom is phenomenal. Because like when I feel like anything, even when COVID happened, I felt like everything, my world crumbled. Right. Who do you call? Mom. I called a woman in my life that did the impossible. Yeah. And she told me, it is. You just got to chase it with like reckless abandon. And that's what I did. And good things happen.
You were a really good mom.
Yeah. I love my mom. She's great. She's so great. Yeah. Yeah.
Really inspiring. Have you seen the quote? I've seen it on Instagram or something. It's some people will post it on their story, but it's like, the millionaire won't make fun of you for starting a business, or like the influencer or the content creator won't make fun of you for making like a dumb video. Yeah. So it's just people who aren't thinking that way are the ones who are like, what are you doing? Why are you posting so much? But the content creator with 10 million followers is like, yeah, girl,
go for it. Exactly. Do it. I'm the worst person to come to when people want to try and like bring their kids to reality. They're like, they want to be an influencer, YouTuber, like talk to Richard. I'm the one who puts gasoline on the fire. I'm like, go for it. Go for it. You do. But here's some tools that can help you.
You're like, listen, here, come into my office.
Don't ever tell me not to chase a dream, because that's exactly what I did. You just need to have a bigger toolkit, right? If you're chasing that, because you're charting into a path that's unknown. And boy, if you don't have any like business acumen or like a foundation to come off of, yeah, it's gonna fail. The failure rate for MBAs starting businesses is 90%. Imagine how much it is for someone with zero business background. I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's realities that come into play, but I'll never squash somebody's dream. Never. Because it's the thing that it gives that light in their eye. Why would I put that out? Of course not. If all I want to do is actually add stuff to it. I want to be like, here's the tools you need to make it bigger. Go for it.
You're like everybody's bestie. We love that. Oh, Richard, it has been so amazing chatting with you. This has been such a long time. We've needed to do this.
I know.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We can't wait to see your next show.
I know. It'd be crazy. It's crazy. But in a good way. In a good way.
Okay, so here on ReelTalk, we have a little tradition where we'd love you to take a selfie for our wall.
That's awesome.
So let's have you do that.